It is the day after, actually 2 days after BTS. So I'm doing my check-in with how I'm doing, my review of everything that went down. And yeah, so I'm still feeling pretty stoked and happy. Of course, I'm glad I went. It's always a joy to be around people that are part of my tribe. So I had so much fun, and I'm also so glad I stayed for the party on Saturday night, because normally once I get tired, I'll go home. And this time I decided that I wanted to stay, and I actually participated and danced. So that was kudos on me for trying. So I ended up having fun and getting some pretty decent footage. And so yeah, I'm happy. So what are some of my takeaways? Well, one of my takeaways is just putting myself out there and not hesitating and participating. You know, sometimes it's hard to do because I'm super introverted, but you have to put yourself out there in order to meet people, talk to people, and share what I'm about, share my goals. So that's a takeaway. Number 2, my takeaway is you have to work the principles for them to work. And there's so many people who were there that started out like me, who basically came from nothing and created something great for themselves. And there are so many different stories, and I'm like, I want to be part of that, right? So how do you get to be part of that? Well, you have to follow the principles. You have to do the work. And number 3 is overcoming fear and self-doubt, which is negative beliefs. That's my biggest trouble with me moving ahead and me breaking patterns, is I have to break that pattern by doing something different. And another great exercise, I was telling one of my coworkers about it, that I wanted to have get 10 people as my guest on my podcast. And I put it off all weekend. I didn't ask anybody. And it really bothered me a lot. And so when I finally got towards the end, Jack did this exercise and he said, okay, we're going to take 5 minutes. We're going to take a 5-minute break. And if there is something that you have been delaying and putting off, whatever it is that you need to do, you have 5 minutes to make that phone call, send that email, ask that question, and do it. So within 5 minutes, I had one person who gave me 7 people that I could interview who would be great for my podcast. And then I had even more than that, which is awesome. So I'm and then I ran up to a couple other people that I already had in mind, and they shared yeah, well, come on, we would be happy to. So anyways, that's what happened, and I'm stoked about that. And I'm just going to add everybody onto my list, follow up with them. I need to really follow up with them today or tomorrow, probably no later than tomorrow. I'm just, number one, grateful. It's just grateful that I had a chance to learn from the great Jack Canfield, and I got to sit with him during lunch, which was really cool. What's next? So for me, one of the things that I need to work on is my limiting beliefs. I will definitely be working on that and doing EFT tapping. If you don't know what that is, I'll leave a link in my stories. But that's my biggest obstacle is my thoughts. And that's what's been holding me back my whole life. And then another breakthrough that I had was just kind of some of the things that have bothered me, or some of the reasoning why I have such low self-esteem. And it came up during an exercise where we went and did a deep meditation. Sorry, there's a lot of bugs. A deep meditation. And a lot of it came back to just small things that people have said around me that I've internalized as something super negative. And that's something that I have to work through. And I don't blame anybody else for that. It's how I internalize that information or whatever they told me. So yeah, I've had a lot of time to kind of sit with. Yesterday, I sat around and I thought about everything I learned over the weekend. And I still have so much more. Gosh, there's like so many bugs out here. There's so much more I need to do. And I have so many goals. I'm writing my 5 priorities for the day. And what I learned from that 5-minute exercise is that I need to take action like immediately. Like I can't like stand around and wait and let that time go by. Like I have to take action now, inspired action. So that last exercise, one of the last exercises we did was how much I got done in 5 minutes. So I realized that if I do that at the top of my day, like every day, do the 5 things that are eat that frog, right? I think it's like Brian Tracy. Their thing is eat that frog. So the thing that you don't want to do, you put it at the top of your day and you just get it done. What I'm doing right now, this morning I woke up, I did my meditation and visualization in the morning. I have my vision boards like right next to my bed so I can see them. And I typed up my affirmations, and I'm going to take Jack's strategy. I put them in like a plastic cover. And so I'll have a set with me in my backpack, and I'll have another set like on my bed so I can just read my affirmations and my goals. Hey guys, doing a quick check-in. I look crazy. I just got a cold plunging. I took about a month off, and so glad I did it. I was afraid I was gonna go back, like revert back to when I was first starting and like have my body freak out, but it actually did really well. I did a lot of like positive self-talk, like telling myself, you've done this before, it's nothing new, and just to breathe. And I said I can always get out after 3 minutes. And once I hit 3 minutes, I was like, okay, well, let's try to make it till 5. And then when I made it to 5, I was already so warm inside of the cold water that I was like, well, screw it, I'll just do my 11 minutes right now. So I did that really well, camera shaking because I'm warming up in the car, and so I'm shivering still. So anyway, really bad eating weekend. So I'm gonna get back on track once I get home, make some lunch, maybe a salad, I don't know, some type of vegetables, I don't know, we'll see. Hey guys, so it's been a week since BTS, and I just wanted to check in on how I'm doing. And this weekend was okay up until yesterday. We had 4th of July weekend, and I was doing some work. And Byron Katie is the name of the author, and I forgot the name of the book at the moment, but it was a suggestion from Jack to do some of her worksheets. She has this thing called The Works, that's the name of her website. So I downloaded it and I started thinking about, we had to write about what we complain about. I complained about fireworks after 4th of July. I started writing things down, and then I had to pick one subject. And so I brought up a subject that I thought I was like completely moved on from, and it has to do with my past relationship, and I'm not over it. And so that's something I was working on, and I got a lot of stress and anxiety about it, and like the anger is still kind of there at the surface, and I'm just kind of like, well, that makes a lot of sense about where I am with relationships, because I still need to deal with it. And I thought I had dealt with it, but maybe I haven't. I was like thinking back on my, all the therapy I've done. There's been certain things that I've talked about freely and other things I haven't. And I think that's one of them. I don't think I've really fully talked about and unpacked that relationship and everything that happened after that ended. That was really, for me, it was extremely traumatic. And so anyways, so that's something that I'm kind of dealing with. I did some EFT tapping. If you don't know about that, check that out online. And it's supposed to help with, releasing emotional trauma and anxiety and things like that. So I've been working on that, and that's been bringing up a lot of stuff that's not fun to go through, but I just keep telling myself I can do it, and that this is for the better. And then I also started thinking about what I've been doing versus like what's working, what's not working. And what I realized is that, a lot of parts of my life are not working, and I need to make a shift in that. And so since BTS, I've really been kind of outlining like, okay, so all these areas in my life and in my world since I was in my early 20s really hasn't shifted. It hasn't shifted at all. And I have to find out why I'm stuck in this perpetual pattern. And so that's something that I'm really focused on and trying to push through, not trying, I am pushing through, because that's holding me back from so many things that I want to do. So moving forward, I have a couple of things that I need to get done this year. It's always financial. That's always something that is always a concern of mine, is do I have enough money? Am I going to be okay? My life doesn't look the way that I thought it would look at this age. So everything, all my retarement's on me. I don't have a second income coming in from my spouse. So what is that going to look like? I have to just unpack that. And said if I can just make money just being me, I would be like the happiest person ever. And that's why YouTube's great, because I can just be me and share my thoughts of what I'm dealing with in my life, and hopefully somebody else will like connect with that. Spent some time last night redoing my vision board, because what I realized when I'm looking at, I have like 3 vision boards, right, that I've done over the past 3 years. And the one thing that I did, I know Shishai had a question about, my vision board and what have I accomplished. And really, I feel like from my last vision board, it was the podcast. So that was something that was on there, but everything else hasn't come through as of yet. So I need to work on my money game and getting the word out on YouTube and the podcast, and really taking that seriously. Like when I do an interview on a podcast, I'm really serious about it. So I have like a whole questionnaire for my guest, and I have an idea of a way to thank my guest, because it's really special that they're coming on and sharing their knowledge and a piece of their life with me, and I'm able to share that with other people. So I really take that seriously, really take people's time seriously, because time is money, and I want to show respect to the other person. So it's kind of what's going on right now, just dealing with some like emotional stuff, heavy stuff again in the news, and it's just a lot. But I'm pushing through, and I have all of my goals written down. I have my life purpose. Tell you guys once I go home. And then I have like all my other goals that I want to do, even down to like losing the final bit of weight that I have. So when I go home, I'll finish this out and I'll share all my goals. And then I had to do a list, and I've done it before, a list of like 100 goals or 100 successes for our victory log. And I looked back at some of my victory logs and I was like, oh shoot, I wrote the same thing over and over again. So this time I really like focused, and things that I didn't even think that were a success, I was like popped in my head. And my goal was to do like, 5 each day. I think there's like 5 or 10 each day. And, I had to dig deep to find things that I felt successful about. Yeah. Another thing, I literally had a bug fly into my mouth. These stupid bugs every time I walk. Sorry about that. I'm sure that was entertaining with the bug flying right into my mouth, but disgusting. Anyways, so other things that I'm having to focus on, reframe, is how I feel about myself and life in general. And I feel like most of my life I always had the feeling that I wasn't good enough, and that's very common for women to feel like they're not doing enough, they're not being enough. And I would always compare myself to like my sibling's success. And if you're the youngest kid in your family, you can't help doing that. You're always trying to strive and keep up with your older siblings, right? And so I constantly compare myself to my siblings, like their successes, and which isn't healthy. So that's something I need to work on, and really work on building my self-worth, because I thought I was feeling really good about myself. And then once I was sitting there over the weekend, I just realized I have so much unresolved stuff emotionally. And I'm just like, and I need to just get through it. I think I've kind of skirted around it, but in order to make a breakthrough, you gotta push through it. So that's just me being vulnerable, sharing what's going on in my head. And yeah, I am also just unpacking the end of, going to BTS, Jack Canfield. What are we going to do next? Who am I going to basically have be my mentor? And I started really thinking about it. And I was like, you know what? I got trained by Jack Canfield. I got to go to like 4 of his trainings. And I'm lucky that I got to even share a room from that person, let alone learn from them. And so I really thought about that this weekend. Instead of being so down about everything ending, and how do we keep that community going and staying in touch with everyone and bringing people into the group that I didn't know that were around, but I probably should have reached out to. So anyway, right now, my main thing with that is like, how do I keep the positive energy going? How do I build myself up to move to the next stage in my life of where I want to be? And then how do I utilize all of our connections in our BTS world as we move forward? So anyways, that's where I'm at today. I made it home. So as promised, I wanted to read my mission statement that I have come up with, or my purpose statement, which is my purpose is to awaken the highest vision within others so they live boldly, live fully, and show up in the world with authenticity and joy. That is my statement. Before it was shorter. I have it somewhere, but it was basically my purpose is to use like my creativity and inspire others to be their most authentic self, something like that. I'm going to walk you guys through all of the things that Jack taught us. And so he had one tip, which it sounds like the simplest thing. So I used to always have my affirmations on index cards, like 3x5 index cards. And Jack mentioned this time that he has his goals in a like plastic sheet. And so I did that. So here are my affirmations and my purpose statement. And so I have all my affirmations. Let's talk about my breakthrough goal really quick. So during BTS, everyone comes up with the breakthrough goal. We didn't spend a whole lot of time. The last time we did this, we actually took like 5 minutes per areas of our life. So that could be career, relationships, whatever. And we had time to write about it. And this time we were pushing through a lot of material. So that didn't happen. And that's fine. It's totally fine because I could do that at home. So my breakthrough goal is to become a full-time content creator, ding, and podcast host, and to really triple my income. And I want to do that by the end of next year. So being a content creator, something that I've been working on forever, but actually, I would say I haven't put 110% because I really just haven't had the additional funds to have someone just work on editing my videos and sprucing them up. So I've been doing the editing. So that's something I need to consider, and also marketing all of my stuff. That's one thing. So I'm going to read all of my goals. Hang in there. I'll try to read them quickly. So I have a couple of financial and career goals. My top one was being a content creator and podcast host, also to be completely financially free by 2027. That is something I've been working on for a really long time, and I want to be done with all of my student loans and everything else. And then on top of that, I would like to start a fitness company or fitness program called Fit at 40 and Fit at 40 Plus. And it's going to be catered towards people in their 40s and up, and how to add health and wellness into their everyday life. And there's going to be fitness challenges. And yeah, there are other people who have done this, but I really want to focus on accountability and connection with people. Also growing my podcast and my YouTube channel to 1 million subscribers. And right now that seems so far away because they have under 300. But I believe that there are people who are sitting out there who are like me and who are just man, I can't find a friend who likes to do things like hiking or who has these big goals and big dreams, well, I'm your friend. Okay. So if you know someone like that, send them a link to my channel. Okay. I also have my lifestyle goals, which is I want to travel. I want to learn French and Italian. I don't want to keep saying I want to learn it. I want to learn it. I want to learn it fluently. So I think that would be cool. And also to visit 5 national parks by next July. So that is definitely doable. Health and wellness goals. I want to get down to 20% body fat and I want to get it off by December. That's just it's like last like 20 or 30 pounds. I have a block. I have some type of emotional block right now in my head that I need to clear. And this, I mentioned I had a really bad weekend and I just made the excuse that like, well, since I'm going to be sitting at home and, you know, I wanted like to have a hot dog, but I didn't want to buy a whole pack of hot dogs, even if they were like jerky hot dogs, because I'm like, I'm only going to eat like one. And then like, because I wanted like hot dogs and like chips like everybody else has, or like a hamburger. And so I ended up not getting any of that. And I ended up getting like my healthy chickpea cheddar puffs or whatever. And they're good, but they still like bloat me. And then I did really bad. I had some sour cream, cheddar. I think it was cheddar sour cream or something like that. And I ate 2 of those bags and that has like milk in it. My stomach was so pissed at me. So not doing that again. And so we talked about health and wellness goals, and then also just eating whole foods, really important. Getting back into drinking a gallon of water, not having a half gallon that I'm lugging around all day. It makes a huge difference. I'm not drinking as much water and continuing my sauna and cold plunging. I considered giving up my cold plunging, but it's just good mentally and physically. And when I did my breathwork class this weekend, I was like, okay, yeah, this is exactly what I do. I do it for the positive vibes and to spend time on myself. And like, that's totally fine. It's like, I'm nurturing myself, relationships and goals. My best friend Mary is going to love this. I'm going to spend 10 minutes a day searching for my ideal partner. I don't think it's like, I've been told that my guy is like impossible. Like he's just perfection. And I don't think so. My ex-boyfriend said that. He's just like, well, he's like, you sound like you want perfection. And he goes, I don't think I'm that guy. And I'm like, you know what? I don't think you are either. And so I'm like, but this guy is out there. You're just a nice dude, like a nice dude, right? Like, it's like, I'm not asking for this guy to have $1 million. Yes, I want them to have a good job. I want them to be a good person to the core, that they're just an honest and good person. I have to like 5 profiles. So even if I'm kind of on the edge, I have to at least like it or something. And also I'm going to work on calling my parents twice a month. That's on my list. And then also to attend 2 singles mixers by the end of the year. This one is like cringy. I really don't want to do it, but I put it on because it will push me and it will get me out of the house. And then I talked about, okay, oh my God, I met these 2 really cool ladies. Of course, I'm forgetting their names. I met them at BTS during our Come As You'll Be party. And they're 2 friends that met at a BTS like a couple of years ago. They stayed in contact. They talk all the time. One, she was in the Navy, I think, and she was like a commander, or something like that. And she was like a really high ranking female in the military. And I think she was also in law enforcement as well. And then the other gal, I forgot what she did. But anyway, she was telling the story about how she found like her perfect house. People were living in that house at the time. And she was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the house. She took a picture of the house, put it on her vision board. Several years later, they bought the house and now she's living in it. And she's like overlooking some lake or something like that. It just sounded amazing. So that gave me hope. So my goal is to find like my house, and I have a specific house that I want. It is a ranch style home with white and black trim and like a ranch style, like country living. I'm thinking a wraparound porch. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if I want it to wrap all the way around or just front. Maybe the front. I don't know. And, you know, just out in the country, lots of space and oak trees. You can put like the little swing out there and sit out on your porch and watch the moon come up. Anyways, so that's kind of my vibe that I'm looking at. And then of course my Saint Bernard puppies. Okay. So one of the things that I need to put a new picture on my vision board, and I haven't had a Saint Bernard on my vision board in like 2 years, which is stupid. So I'm going to work on that. But then I also said I was going to research how much it would cost for me to be able to like care for a dog on my own. And then also I'm not a type of person, like before I would have been like, leave your dog at home. Like your dog's fine, leave him outside, because that's how I grew up. But the older I get, and I'm seeing people's like TikToks and how they have like the little cameras and the dogs are sad and they cry after they leave. I don't want that for my St. Bernard puppy. So I live down the street from this doggy daycare, and I'm like, you know what? I would put my dog in doggy daycare because I wouldn't want her to be alone. And so she'll just have fun with her friends, drop her off on my way to work, pick her up, we go for a walk at night, go home, boom, we're done, And so I don't know. It's like she keeps her active, engaged. She can also get like training there. So it's like the perfect setup. And she can get groomed there. It's perfect. It's perfect. So anyway, I researched the cost on that, and it's rounding out to like a little over $2,000 a year. It's not as much as I thought it would be. I'm sure there's things I'm missing, including like vet bills and stuff. Like donating to my church. My goal is to like increase my donations. I think I want to like double them or something like that. For like weekly, I had to do a pause on that. So work on that, and then also researching ways to support children's charities for the holidays. And so I wrote down some goals on that. Last one is my personal development goal, and it's coming up with a savings plan so that I can take train the trainer. It's like $3,000, but for me that's expensive. So I'm like, I have to save up for it. That's all my goals. So I review my goals twice a day, and I was doing it like 3 times a day. And then I review my notes before I go to bed, and I meditate. I had a really hard time meditating last night because I had so much anxiety, and I just had like a bunch of different thoughts in my head yesterday and did not go well. And the night before I meditated for like 20 minutes. And the night before that I meditated for 20 minutes, and I haven't been able to do that in a long time. I'm gonna wrap up this video, but I wanted to start doing the success principles once a week and sharing one success principle and showing how I'm going to implement that into my daily life. You have never heard of Jack Canfield. You're going to hear a lot about him in my life. Okay. This is the book, The Success Principles. This is the 20th anniversary. This is the most up-to-date one we got. Okay. So if you would like to follow along, purchase the book on Amazon. You can basically find these anywhere, any bookstore. We're going to start with like a chapter every week. We're going to work on a principle. There's 67 principles, and I got 52 weeks out of the year. I'm halfway through. So this week is all about taking 100% responsibility for my life, and I'm taking 100% responsibility for my life by confronting everything that's not working and realizing that I need to make a change. And the number one thing that I have to do is I have to take action. I can't just sit back and let things happen to me. I'll set myself up to fail. By the success principles, I will start this next week. I promise that we're going to start with principles. So taking 100% responsibility. One of the exercises in the book is we had to write down, if I were to take just 5% more responsibility for your life in the following areas. So that's finances, careers, relationships, personal development, health and wellness, and all this. So it's personal happiness, and what would you do in the world? And then you would have to write like 3 for each. So for instance, financial, that's something that I'm really working on getting better at. Is if I were to take 5% more responsibility for my finances, I would save 10% of my income. I would stay on budget and I would pay off my other debts and just be done with it. And over again, I just noticed it just kept saying, take action. I went through my food. It was like, limit how much I eat per day and stop drinking alcohol. And I would stop eating processed foods and sugar. Like, I know it's bad for me, but yet I still reach for it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I want you guys to write this down, and we're going to work on the first principle. How can you take just 5% more responsibility in your life and your finances, business and career, spending time doing things that you enjoy, health and wellness, quality of your relationships, personal happiness, and being of service to others and in the world. So think about that, contemplate that, leave a comment in the comment box, and make sure you guys like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because we're going to do this together every week. This is my keeping myself accountable. This is why I have a YouTube channel, because when I say I'm going to do things, I can't back out, because somebody out there is watching and are going to be like, don't you remember you said you were going to do this? And people will call me out for that. So we're going to do success principles, one success principle every week, and I'm going to focus on that and implement that into my life and work the principle. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.